My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down my favorite PrizePicks entry for UFC 290. If you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say more or less than the numbers you see on the screen, and if you're right, you can 10 times your money. They will even give you free money to play it. All you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/prizepicks, use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you give them 20 bucks, they'll give you 20 bucks. You give them 50, they'll give you 50. If you give them $100, they will give you a free $100 instantly and say, go ahead, build yourself an entry. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/prizepicks, use promo code WWP, get that free money. You can build an entry with only the free money. You don't even need to use your real money. But anyway, let's walk through what I got going on here. So when you come in, if you've never seen this before, you can pick your sport at the top. We're obviously talking about MMA here. We're talking about UFC 290. And then you'd have the choice between strikes, fight time minutes, takedowns, and fantasy score, and you can mix and match any of them. The only strike line here that is even enticing, and it sounds crazy, is the Bo Nickel strike line. They're saying he's only going to land 10.5 significant strikes, and that sounds absurdly low. But if we go into his fight history, he has 3 fights under the UFC umbrella. He landed 2 strikes in his first fight, 5 in his second, and 1 in his last fight. Now he has a short notice opponent. For all we know, Val Woodward is the toughest guy that's ever existed, and his takedown defense will hold up, and Bo Nickel will be forced to land a few more strikes. But, I mean, the closest he ever got to half this number in a 3-fight sample size, he only has 4 fights ever, is half this number. So I'm going to go with the less. I think he just starts diving at legs immediately, and I think if he doesn't get the takedowns, he might actually be in some trouble and may not get to that 10. So I imagine we should be good here with the less. The rest of these are pretty tricky, right? Because Tatsuro Taira taking on Edgar Chairez. Tatsuro Taira, he's going to want to shoot early. He's going to want to get it to the ground. He's actually 3 fights in the UFC. He got to 25.5 one time in his first fight with Carlos Candelario. He only got to 22 with CJ Vergara, 1 in his last fight. But these are just tricky lines because Edgar Chairez, short notice opponent. We don't know what's going to happen. Same with Vitor Petrino with Marcin Prochniau. A lot of these fights can go in, I don't want to say any direction, but given how they're supposed to end, these are actually pretty tricky lines. Even Robert Whittaker, I wanted to smash the more, but I was like, he might finish this dude. So we're going to leave the rest of these strike lines alone. We're going to go to fight minutes. What I like with fight minutes is, where's Jimmy Crute? Where's my man Jimmy Crutatopoulos? Am I blind? There it is. 7.5 fight minutes. I like the more. This is a rematch. It went the distance last fight. And yes, Alonzo Menafield had Jimmy Crute knocked down several times. Almost had him out, but he didn't. It went the distance. 7.5 fight minutes is 1.5 rounds. I think this goes beyond that. It did the first time. There's no reason to believe it won't the second time. So I think we're good with more. I'm actually surprised at that line, especially because Jimmy's the favorite. So the odds makers have said, we think Jimmy Crute wins, but we gave it a low fight line. He wasn't close to finishing it the first time. The only time I would think this would be a 1.5 round strike line or fight minute line, whatever you want to call it, round line, is if you were insisting that Alonzo Menafield was going to win. So nothing about that makes sense. We're going to play them more. Another fight time one that I sort of like here is Yasmin Garjuji. And this is basically saying this fight goes to a decision. Well, she's finishing people. Denise Gomes is finishing people. I think that this is going to be a slugfest early. Both of these women are very, very capable of finishing each other. I think this ends inside the distance. I do not think this goes to the scorecards. So I'm going to do the less here. I think we just got lucky with it's a female fight. So they said, it's a woman. Let's go ahead and do 14.75. If you look at takedowns, these are all tricky. Volk over 3. I like that. We're going to put it in here. My original entry did not have that. So we're going to add that because I don't think he's going to want to be striking with Yair Rodriguez this whole time. He has fights where he's had 5 takedowns. He's had fights where he's had 3 takedowns. 3 is a high number. If it hits only 3, it's a push. So I don't mind an even number. If it was 3.5, no way. 2.5 would be great, but I don't mind an even number like 3. I'm not touching the Tatsuro one. He might only need 1 takedown. And honestly, his takedowns aren't even that good. So he may not get to even if he wants to. Jimmy Crute, he took down Alonzo Menafield 5 times in their first fight. He should probably get over 2.5, but it's a little, rematches are always tricky in situations like that because Alonzo might be much more prepared for the takedown. And then Brandon Moreno, over 1.5. Let's go ahead. We'll add that to this mix. And fantasy score, what I like to do is find a favorite that I think loses. And I don't see really anybody on here that I'm super, super confident in that's losing, meaning I think Robert Whittaker wins. Nico Price should win. That's a 50-50 fight. I'm not going to touch that line. Jack Della should smoke this dude. Yasmin should win. Obviously, these are all the favorites. But, outside of Tatsuro Taira, who I think has a good chance of losing this fight, I'm still not going to hit that line. So we're going to lock it in here. This is our entry. And it's automatically a flex play because we added 5 correct. Or we added 5. So if we get all 5 correct, I 10 times my money. If only 4 of them are correct, I double my money. And if only 3 of them are correct, I get 2 of these wrong, I still get some money back. It's super flexible. Let's go ahead and lock that in. That's the entry for UFC 290. My most confident of this is the over on Jimmy Crute. That's my most confident. Then I would say Yasmin, then Bo Nickel, and the takedown lines I like as well, but those were added a little after the fact. Probably more confident in Brandon and Alex, but WeWantPicks.com/PrizePicks. Use promo code WWP and let them give you that free money. WeWantPicks.com/PrizePicks, promo code WWP.